I am a father, and this is my family, who are a family.
The Nice Family really is based on my dad, Murray's dad, your dad, any of these kind of Edinburgh dads that certainly growing up in the 70s, my dad was very much this phrase that he used over and over again, it's just not the done thing. And whatever you did that he didn't agree with, and you say, well, why? He would go, it's just not the done thing. And I always just think it was a funny idea. Who decides what is the done thing and not done thing? Is there a done thing committee? Why?
The authorities.
Yeah, you go to the authority, you phone the authorities and check.
I shall speak to the authorities in the matter directly, on our behoofs.
And also that a certain middle class poshness that would come with you'd have your voice at home, and then, you know, my dad would always go, wait and book the halls, and then he'd go, hello, I'm inquiring about a vacation possibilities.
Charming conduct, marred, however, by his slovenly appearance. This is unacceptable.
So that's where the voice came from, was this idea that you had a particular way of speaking. But I think The Nice Family was a very middle class concept, and we're, I'm afraid there's no way of hiding it. I wish we could say we all went to Borstal. We didn't. We were all fairly middle class, and I think that was the difference between us. And they say there's a West Coast, East Coast thing. I don't think there is. I think there's in Scotland. It's just it's a class thing.
No.
My mother had to do anything then. I mean, you know, fair enough, he wanted us to muck in and stuff, but he got hugely irate.
You know, one day your mother's going to drop dead of a heart attack, and then you'll be sorry. Then you'll wish you hadn't been lollying around here where your mother breathed her last trying to make you happy.
But I leapt to the chance, obviously, of being able to stand at the back of the set whilst television's Jack Doherty had to remember 7 pages of script off by heart, and all I had to do was twiddle a plate every now and again. It was just, it was fantastic.
Morning, Mother.
You know, it's essentially about bad parenting.
I'm glad I'm here because I wanted to be present myself in person when I told you the facts of life.
You know, now that I'm a parent, I think the key to parenting is allowing children to be exactly who they are, rather than a version of you. And of course, a Nice Family joke was that they all dressed the same, they had to be exactly like him.
President of the People Who Are Exactly Like Me Club.
Yes.
And that sort of sums him up.
And a lot of Edinburgh life is like that.
The facts of life. People get married and have babies. Any questions?
I'd read a book about an artist called Nina Hamlet, who was a mad old artist who lived in Soho and, you know, jumped out the window and knocked her teeth out and had sex with everyone.
I used to be renowned in my day. Picasso once said of me, she paints like a princess and gobbles like a gander.
And it was based on just those women of that sort of era, those sort of Bloomsburyite women who seemed to just hang it off with everyone and be completely kind of minging and disgusting and sort of, but not care.
I'm a legend, you know. I never wash, I eat cat food and I piss in the sink.
And everybody really kind of got into it, and then Christine Cant, who was doing the makeup, had been taught at art school by someone who she thought, oh, this reminds me of her, and just chopped a wig and did the mad. She was brilliant, Christine, and a complete sort of collaborator for those characters. And then the set was just brilliant. I loved it. It was just, I remember sort of drawing it and chatting and saying how I wanted it to be, and then they just did something that was so
And part of the set was a naked man.
And part of the set was a naked man who I was exacting some kind of revenge on. It was somebody that I'd known in my past, and he wanted to be an actor.
You're a very nice young man, aren't you?
I said, would you like to come and be in a sketch on our series? And he went, oh yeah. No.
Got plenty of manhood about you. Very nice. You're homosexual.
And I didn't tell him what it was, and then he had to strip off and just sit there with his bare arms out in front of a studio audience.
Could give that a good gobble.
First gig. was in the Earth Exchange, which was a vegetarian restaurant which did alternative cabaret on a Monday night. And I thought, well, they won't give me a hard time. They're vegetarians, you know. they don't want to see the sight of blood. So I thought I'll start there, and I did.
And that was Gwyn.
That was Gwyn doing the ventriloquist on May the 7th, 1984. Clearly I remembered it, and because I regard that's when I started being a professional comedian, if you like, where I sort of decided I'm going to have a go at this.
Don't wear open-toed sandals. It's cruel to toads.
But when I was, I don't know, 17 or something like that, we used to go to a pub in Three Crosses, a little village in Wales near where I grew up, near my village. And the bloke who collected the glasses there was a man, he must have been in his 60s, we called him Tinhead, and he was hard. He was very, very hard. So if you took your glass and you hadn't finished the beer, you never said anything because you didn't want to get into any kind of a situation with Tinhead. We were afraid of him, quite rightly so. There was probably a good reason for his name to be Tinhead, you know. And Gwyn's very loosely based on him, but it is a Welsh type. It's a recognisable type of bloke in Wales.
Well. In you are like a couple of Saturday boys, isn't it, man? Huh?
You seem to have sort of some physical...
Yeah. I don't know where that came from. That just seemed to go with the character. Because all the characters, generally, they all arrive just mucking about, doing silly voices and things. And so doing Gwyn, and the kind of that just went with it, it all kind of went with it. But it's a suck rather than a blow whistle. So that's on the in breath rather than it's not one of those because it's a bit camp.
Little secret now. My ambition is to live forever. So far, so good. Hey, what are you looking at? Can't you see we're having a private conversation here? Why don't you do something useful, like bugger off?
What made it have that unique flavour was a lot of it was kind of Scottish based, you know, your life and upbringing, so you get the small town council. Stony bread! Very boring Scottish cup door.
Good afternoon, gentlemen of the press. It's my pleasure to welcome you all here this afternoon to witness live, as it happens here now in this room today, the draw for the quarter-final of the Scottish Junior Cup.
And McGlashan.
You! English! Out!
McGlashan was one of these characters that sort of was presented to me one afternoon in a pub called the George in Soho, when this Scottish guy came in and literally said to me, "What are you sitting on?" And I said, "Is there a seat?"
See what you're sitting on there, pal? You know what you'd be sitting on if it wasn't for the Scots? Your arse! That's what you'd be sitting on.
Which of course it was anyway, but I think he meant the floor. And proceeded to tell me everything that the Scots invented.
Dehydrated space food, a Scotsman, bootlaces, drain pipes, Dimotane, us.
And there also was an advert at the time, don't even know what it was advertising, maybe perhaps even Scotland, which listed all the things that the Scottish people do. So he was this incredibly passionate, that's, you know, he'd heard me ordering a pint, knew I was Scottish, and it was all, you know, what it's like us.
Take an interest in your nation's achievements, pal.
And in the spirit of go-getting Scots who changed the world, we pissed away the afternoon in George, a wet Wednesday in Soho, drinking ourselves stupid. And so from there it was a short halt. Okay, the Scots invented everything, and then it just becomes a sketch, and okay, we invented English.
The English! The English! We even invented them. We did! We did! We did! We took all the people in our country who were poofs or perverts or deviants or bastards or girls, and we put them down south and we said, right, you can be the English. You just stay there and we'll come down and kick your ass every now and again.
Again, it would just be one sketch, and invented he'd be a writer and an agent. Gordy played McMinn, and he was his long-suffering agent.
I'd had this character kicking around for a while, which was based on a television producer, a comedy producer that we all knew at the time, who was just hilariously camp and would just always, but slightly talking that American way. We're just going to give it the big bucks here, boys. You know, just this hilarious kind of voice that he had, and it just used to make me laugh.
Well, that's very interesting.
And the thing is that McMinn represents another stereotype of Scotland, which is the arty, slightly dapper, married to my work young man who would never quite say he was gay in any way, but would perhaps couch it in different terms. Married to my work, dedicated to the profession.
Poof.
The Laughing Man was an excuse for Pete to wear a fat suit and a beard.
The Laughing Man was a reaction to all the sadness in the world, and I just basically wanted to share.
Remember?
When you walked into pubs, there was a plethora of all these signs saying, "You don't have to be crazy to work here, but it helps." And they're just so funny.
But somebody had to make those signs. I had to think them up.
Why the tractor? The tractor was a complete mistake.
Do you remember the first sketch?
Yes. Yes, I do, because for some reason he was on a tractor, he's laughing away, and the tractor's come towards us, we're all alone, and we're shot. And Pete doesn't drive. Anything. He certainly doesn't drive a tractor.
And you weren't made aware of this, were you?
Well, I think there was a moment where I was trying to go, and he did eventually find the brake after finding the clutch and the accelerator and the.
If you watch very closely, you'll see the singing going on, and there's panic, and then there's this.
Yes, because you very nearly drive right over the prop buyer's car who'd parked his car, because he didn't know that you'd written a sketch where you say, "I drive a tractor," knowing full well that you can't drive a tractor.
I used to look forward to Don and George's because they were always totally unexpected.
Never saw Batman paying tax?
No. Well, maybe Robin dealt with the financial side of the business.
No, I don't think any of that mob paid taxes, actually. Spider-Man, Wonder Woman, Superman.
They were unexpected sometimes and brilliant sometimes, and other times completely and utterly mental.
Well, George, man, what now?
Well, whatever it is, Donnan, it certainly won't be paying taxes.
To be honest, we just followed our noses and just wrote stuff that entertained us in that classic way. And there's no method behind Don and George, and there's no consistency or character or believability or anything about them.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, down.
What is it, Don?
I've just missed my doctor's appointment.
They were never characters, I think.
They have no character.
In the way that you would say, well, these are, you know, McGlashan or, I don't know,
A John
Denzel
Sparks character.
or Callum.
Underpants the man wears.
And these are characters that you go, oh yeah, I know somebody like that. Obviously, Don and George were just a vehicle for doing the sort of stuff, the verbal nonsense that we like to write, really. And just a way of doing it that wasn't me and Murray.
Well, I could give you a medical. There's a history of doctoring in my family.
Really?
Oh, yes, all of us have been to the doctors at one time or another.
So they appeared to be characters, but they weren't characters.
They
at
were
all.
a bit,
You know,
on Friday Night Live they were characters because we made them sort of these posh, sort of
yes.
Tory, Edinburgh, lawyery type characters.
So you could give me a medical then?
I could give you a medical now.
Tell me about Friday Night Live.
So we kind of stopped the Bodgers and done a little bit as a double act. Hadn't really performed for 3 or 4 years. And then we went back to Edinburgh, did a double act, and then ended up taking over from Stephen Fry and Hugh Laurie on Friday Night Live.
But we were kind of put into a straitjacket that didn't suit us because we were asked to be a bit more satirical than we really were.
Yeah,
and so it wasn't quite.
And also, sketching that show just never. If you're doing this, talking to Friday Night Live is about, because there's a live audience there, you attack them. And Friday and Laurie, I think, had the same problem. They would do great sketches, but on a kind of bear pit, and they'd be talking to each other and doing all of that. In fact, one of the few times I've seen Hugh Laurie delighted was when he was there the first time we did it. And he said to me, "All right, great. Now it's your turn to die near us."
Now, eyesight. Can you see me doing this?
Afraid so.
Right, can you see that wall chart over there?
No.
Well, correct. Eyesight, perfect.
I don't need glasses then.
You don't need glasses now.
But also, we might write different styles of sketches, and put them into Don and George, and therefore Don and George sketches could be wildly different. Because John would write maybe a more concept-driven sketch, and I would write a gaggy one, like the doctor thing, you know.
Diet?
I beg your pardon?
Have you ever thought about going on a diet?
Have you ever thought about wearing a wig?
Have you ever thought about tidying up round here once in a while?
Have you ever thought about unpack... End of examination. What's the verdict, Doctor?
I have some very bad news. We're both still alive.
We wrote these characters, Billy and Mate. Or it started off with me writing this little character called Billy, who's a kid, based on a kid in my village, who went into a sweet shop and just went, "How much is that?"
Excuse me.
Yes.
How much is that?
That's 12p.
How much is that?
15p.
How much is that plus one of them?
That's 25.
How much is crisps?
20.
How much is one of them plus three of them?
7p.
Got any cola chews?
Yes, how many would you
No
like?
thanks.
So that little character Billy was was one of my favourites actually, and he got older. He kind of grew up throughout the series.
Right, then we go up the arcade, find the prosy tart, give her a $5 and she'll show us her belly button.
Then what?
Then we do it with her.
Do what with her?
Sexy interclock.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's a good laugh, isn't it? Yeah.
No, you're not supposed to LARP when you're doing it, mate. You've got to go like this.
Oh, yeah, I see my dog do that, yeah.
Was hilarious, because that ward's just involved running in and out of rooms in my flat, as I remember.
It's big caliper, mate.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, we used to run, I remember running around the field.
I had a huge big
banging,
boot,
looking for dead birds. And...
That's it, and sticking a bang up a cat's
So let's go up the shop.
Yeah, let's go.
Or we could go and stick a banger up a cat's arsehole.
Yeah, banger!
You know, Wen was wonderfully versatile because there was a little girl. I remember somebody once said about Wen that they asked her who were the other girls in Absolutely. Seriously, they came up and said, "It's a great show, and you do the little girl." She said yes, and they said, "Who does the other ones?" She said, "Well, that's me." And it hadn't worked out. She was all these different characters. And when you put the little girl, who's a wonderful character, next to the old artist, and then next to the Wells one, which I think she was really brilliant, to being this sort of rather sort of slight parody of a nice middle-class lady. It was just so nice and cool, and I thought that was, you know, showed her incredible versatility.
Oh, Peter, it's arrived. We've got one.
Got one what?
Our Kenyan baby. You remember, we sent off an advert in the paper, a doctor.
Me and John wrote these. We wrote quite a lot together actually. And we wrote these characters. I think two of our favourite ones were the characters called the Wells, who were sort of an incredibly middle-class couple, who had adopted an African child in that way of, you know, that I think me and John actually did it, in that you get, you know, you send off £1 a month, and you know you get to feed an African village, you know, in your mind.
We got sent all the stuff. This is a picture from terrible, but her name escapes me. But I'm sure she's doing very well now. And there'll be these drawings.
Well, look at his drawings. Dog, tree, lady. Cheerful, but obviously excessively stupid.
So come on, he's only... Oh, he's 10. Oh, I thought we were getting a Maybe.
Oh, let's see the photograph. Oh my God!
She's plainly an idiot. She can hardly draw. We're wasting our money here. We're just. You know. So the sketch came from that we would be doing this great philanthropic thing, and then we would make lots of politically incorrect jokes about it.
Oh. Oh, his hair's sort of not as curly as I expected it to be.
No, he doesn't look particularly foreign, does he?
Well, he's not really
black. Oh my God! They've given us a Brazilian.
The thing is, you think when you buy one of these kids, sorry, sponsor, that you're going to get an African. That's entry-level expectation. And you can get a Brazilian. What's that about?
Stuff that. How much are we paying to educate this dummy? I want a proper one. Get on the phone.
All right.
So it was a way of doing very politically incorrect material, having your cake and eating it, you know, having it under the guise of satire that we were actually doing the piss out of these people, but actually we get to have the joy of seeing lines like...
Now listen, a South American simply isn't on, okay? We want an African.
Yes, with flies in the desert.
Yes, have you got anyone left from the Band-Aid video? What? Oh, for heaven's sake, we're only trying to help. Look, all we want is a tiny, hungry African that we can feed up a bit and encourage to run in the Olympic Games. Not a corpulent giant who's going to witter on and on about crop rotation. Well, thank you.
It's this idea of this person who believes that they are completely in charge of everything when everybody apart from them knows that they're not.
Alright, where do you think you're going? Intruder?
I just popped out the building, but I forgot my pass, so I'm popping back in to pick it up.
Oh, I see, sir. Well, that's fair enough, sir. I believe you, sir. You look like an honest gentleman, sir. My ass, you do!
The other thing that was combined with this, which is a peculiarly Scottish thing, is if you're giving someone directions and you can't, and you're not entirely sure what you're saying, you make up noises. But people do that all the time in Scotland. They just say, it's just up the thing, round the thing there. You just go round, and so it just developed from that to this man who go, and then he started vocalising everything, so and all that.
Out the subway, okay, and then you're right across Times Square, sir, okay? And then you get to 44th Street, and you've got to be quick, it's got to be across 44th Street, sir. Watch out for the if you know what I mean, sir. And then it's right away along there, right to the end, sir, and you'll find the World Trade Centre facing you, sir, okay?
Which is my one particular skill, is that I can make that whistle without actually putting my, so I thought I had to use that.
She's going fast. Dive, dive, dive.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to On the Lavatory with Frank Orvis. I want to share with you an experience I had a few weeks ago. I had the misfortune to be taken short in a public house, and the gentleman's lavatory just happened to be out of order. So the landlord said to me, "Frank, why don't you use the ladies?" But they wouldn't keep still. Well, he's not based on anybody in particular. He's sort of my idea of what a northern club comic is like. Frank, you know, and he's filthy. There's two kinds. I'm tugged two ways. I'm pulled two ways. You know, the silliness, the nonsense, the absurd. The Shadwell, kind of wistful as well, and the filth, which is where Frank comes in. A few weeks ago, I sprained my penis quite badly. Running for a bus. You shouldn't masturbate when you're running for a bus, I know. What was I supposed to do? The bus was coming. And so was I. lavatory humour, of course, which is why I set him on the lavatory in the Absolutely sketches, because I thought, let's make no bones about it, it's lavatory humour. So we'll be on the lavatory with Frank Holvis. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen.
We had about 20 farts spread across the sampling
Yeah.
keyboard. And the way we did it was, we rehearsed it once, I think, and John just said, listen, sort of treat it like a fart attack. I'm going to sort of say hello at the beginning, and then, you know, I will just react to your soundtrack.
What you're saying to the Absolutely audience here is that the John Sparks fart track, that was being played live.
Yes, I was playing it live behind the flat with a monitor there, seeing how John was reacting.
I do apologise.
I mean, I thought I'd overdone it because I got completely carried away because I saw how he was reacting.
Yeah.
I piled on the farts, and then he does this brilliant thing where he actually turns purple. It's quite extraordinary.